That's Jason Morris on the return all the way up the sideline for a Sandy Valley touchdown.
Welcome inside the Saturday morning huddle. Billy, Beebe, Kenny, Roda with you as, hey, that's an example right there of, Kenny, you got to work on the fly, right? If you fumble something, go ahead and pick it up and get to work.
If you're given lemons, make lemonade out of it, right? Turn it around, make it a positive, and Sandy Valley was able to do that. A big kickoff return there and a big win for Sandy Valley and a lot of big wins in week number 4 throughout Stark County. And here on the Saturday Morning Huddle, we're going to take a look at all of them, give you stats, scores. We've got player interviews, coaches interviews, our player of the week, and so much more to bring to you in the next 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah, stacked up guest list. Let's run through that first. 10:05 here in just a couple minutes. We'll have AJ Sarbaugh. Another tight one for Fairless, but they pull it out. They moved to 2-2 on the season. Antonio Hall will talk with us. I know you have a lot to say probably about that McKinley win as Federal League play opens. Brian Baum from our game, Hoover at Louisville, which you can rewatch anytime on YouTube. We'll talk about the very good Hoover Viking win. Still some questions there for a team moving forward throughout the season. Rohr, a tremendous win for Jackson. I was just on David Held's show previewing our show, and it's weird to think, Kenny, they're 3-0 since that opening loss to Menor. So the Polar Bears are on a roll. And then Trucker Lindesmith will join us at 11. So, I mean, what a guest list there to run us down through what happened. Federal League play is open. Stark County play is open. And that kind of opened things up with your radio game of the week.
Yeah, we had a great game yesterday, we thought. Okay, Billy, because it was the first Federal League game for both teams, McKinley and Perry. Last year's game, 38-28. Perry goes on the road, comes from 21 down, beats McKinley. And for whatever reason in this series, as of late, the road team has the advantage. And that was the case again yesterday. We expected, I'll be honest with you, I expected McKinley to win, but I thought it would be a lot closer than 44-6. McKinley routs Perry yesterday. McKinley did pretty much whatever they wanted to do. I mean, they were throwing the ball at will. They were running the ball at times very well, mixing it up. Bedri Bardawill, the offensive coordinator, called a great game. Antonio Hall, the head coach, will join us here shortly, had his team ready to play as they came off the bus, and they were celebrating early and often yesterday in the game. Dante McClellan here with a big touchdown grab as Keaton Rohde throws it up there, and McClellan climbs the ladder, goes up and gets it. And it's just one touchdown after another. McElroy, I believe, with a catch there for the touchdown. And they were able to do whatever they wanted offensively, making plays, and they were whole for a change, right? And what I mean by that, and you'll see a touchdown run here, I believe, by Nino Hill on this carry. They had Nino Hill in the lineup for the full game for the first time, along with Dante McClellan. And like I said, the celebrations were happening all over the field as they were able to score and lead 28-0 at halftime, running clock in the second half, and they roll to a 44-6 win over Perry.
Well, sometimes you get that big win, that running clock type of win, that dominates start to finish win. Other times it's a little bit closer, and we'll talk to a coach who had a win that was a little bit close. Joining us now, AJ Sarbaugh, coach of the Fairless Falcons. Coach, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us again. Excited to be here as always.
Another tight one for you guys.
Yeah, that's Coach Ertler was at Claymont last week, and we had a long conversation Wednesday. It's going to be a grinded out year. It's probably going to be like this every week, but we know who we are and what we've got to do, and we're starting to build an identity.
Coach, what a difference a couple of weeks makes, right? What is the difference over the last 2 weeks where you come back and get 2 big victories to even your record at 500?
I think our kids are just they're getting comfortable. You know, week 1, we had a chance to win, and first time under the lights against a very good Sandy Valley team with experience. Made some mistakes, and then turned the ball over 5 times against Tusky Valley, and that was the first game Peter Killey didn't play. So I think our kids were in shock, but we've got a grind it out mentality right now. We're getting better every day in practice, and they're getting more comfortable under the lights, and they're believing that they can win, and they're playing hard for each other.
Coach, you mentioned your team's identity. Is that identity the one that you wanted for them at the beginning of the season?
I mean, we're going to win no matter how we have to do it. It's ugly right now. I mean, we ran the ball 52 times last night, but we think we're good up front. We're getting a good push. Anthony Stutler runs hard. Carson Colucci's a really good athlete who can make plays happen. So then that's the thing about high school. You've got to play to your strengths. And that's what we think our strengths are right now. Running the football, shortening the game, limiting possessions, and, trying to take advantage up front.
Coach, you fall behind early. You fall behind late 21-7. You rally and tie it up. You take the lead, and then on the last play of regulation, they tie it up and go to overtime. The emotion, the roller coaster of emotions yesterday. How, as a coach, do you keep your cool and try and make sure your players do as well in a game like that?
Yeah, well, the first half, we really just shot ourselves in the foot. It was 14-0 at halftime, and we threw a pick and we fumbled. We haven't had success this year. We've turned the ball over. So then to start the second half, we had a 6-minute drive, touchdown. Then they answered, and we had the ball on the 1-yard line at the end of the third quarter. So we scored the first play of the fourth quarter, and then we stopped them. And then we scored, and they threw a pick, and their kid kicked a field goal, 45-yard school record to tie it. But I think it was just staying calm at halftime. Like, we're doing a lot of good things. We're putting our defense in bad position. We're moving the ball on offense. We just can't have penalties. We had 3 or 4 false starts and the 2 turnovers. They ran a different defensive front last night than what they had shown. So our guys up front, we struggled with that a little bit. I think that was why we had the 3 false starts in the first half. But once we regrouped, took a deep breath, we were good to go. We scored on every possession in the second half.
All right, let's talk to the guy with you here, Xavier Collier. Xavier, a lot of chaos. We just talked about everything that happened within the game. What was the vibe, both in the sideline and on the huddle?
Well, if I could give like one word to describe it, it was hope. There was no doubt in my mind that we were going to win the game. We just had hope going into the locker room. We knew that we were just beating ourselves going into halftime, so we really talked, and we regrouped as a team. The line talked. So, yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to win the game. Everyone just had hope, and we never quit during the game. So we just kept going and fought adversity.
Xavier, how about the offensive line getting to block 52 times on run plays yesterday? Do you like that?
Well, I love it. I love running the ball. I'll take 5 yards any day. I'll take 5 yards all day.
Yeah, we talked in camp about your guys' kind of hopes for the culture and what you guys would carry into this season. When you guys were tested with early losses, what was the message, and what did you guys kind of talk about how the rest of the year would be?
Well, the first loss against Sandy, that is a really good Sandy Valley team. Have a lot of kids coming back, and we were with them the whole game. It was just a weird vibe for us. First home game, we were just nervous, first game nerves. But yeah, they came out and they punched us in the mouth and they won the football game, and then a very improved Tusky Valley team too. So we started out 0-2, and that, like we talked from the summer, like we're going to get hit with adversity. We just don't know what it's going to be. And then we found out we were 0-2, and so we had to come back. We had great weeks of practices, and that helped us going into Claymont. We beat a good Claymont team, close game, and then it led us into this game. So.
Xavier, this also was the first Pac-7 game, right? So how important was it to get that first win? You're 1-0 and you're 2-time defending champs in the Pac-7.
Yes, sir. I feel like starting off 1-0 is really important. It gives you momentum going into the rest of the games. And I feel like that's really important for us. And now we're starting to get some home games because we've been away in the non-conference games. So now that we get home games with momentum, I think it's going to be really good for us going into the rest of the Pac games.
Coach, what is the biggest challenge when you kind of have a group there that things have changed so much, from last year and a second big year in a row last year to now you start 0-2? What did you notice was the biggest challenge to get them back on track?
Just that belief, because we really played pretty well against Sandy Valley, against a really good team. So then when you don't win week 1, like that's all you talk about from January to May and June, July. Like you want to be 1-0. So then there's like some self-doubt, and you've got new starters and new kids playing. And then you go to Tusky Valley and now you're 0-2. So it's like, man, we got to the ship here pretty quick. Like, we got to build confidence because football's such a fast season. I mean, you start 0-3, and then, I mean, you've only got 7 games left. Like, we're almost halfway done. So we just had to get our kids confidence. And I think they knew they could win. They've been on the field, but they weren't the guys making those plays. We weren't putting them in those big roles. And now they are, and now they believe. And that showed last night.
So you're back to 500, Coach. You're 1-0 in the conference, right? And I'm looking at next week's game. Oh yeah, all you have is Northwest coming to your place, and they've won 2 in a row. Coach DeMarco, we had their game last week. They're starting to figure things out. It's never easy, is it?
No, it's not. But we told the kids, like, last week, there are going to be 4 teams 1-0 in the league and 4 teams 0-1. Us and Northwest play Friday. South and CVCA play Friday. So 2 teams are going to be 2-0. I love Coach DeMarco. I've known him since I was little. I've got the utmost respect for him since he's been at Northwest. All 3 games have decided the league title. And right now in the early stages, someone's going to have a leg up. But all 3 games have been down to the wire. Both teams play really hard. Both teams are well coached. Like I said, this year it'll be a little different with my brother coaching for him. So that just adds to it with all the relationships. But it'll be really fun in Fairless, Ohio, Friday night. A lot on the table for both teams.
Now I want to jump in here, Billy. What's the week going to be like with the family going head to head? Is there conversations? Do you go out for lunch? Do you go out for dinner? What do you do?
Well, everyone's out of the house now. Eric actually ate with me and the Fairless coaches before the game yesterday because he doesn't have any friends. So he ate with us before their game. And then, like, my wife's going in for her C-section Thursday. So I don't know if Eric's going to be allowed to come see the baby or not since we play. We'll see if he's got permission. We've been joking him about that. But me and my brother are really close. So I'm sure we'll talk during the week. But it's definitely going to be different Friday night.
All right, Xavier, we're talking losses. We're talking adversity. We're talking, hit us with what's been fun this year for you guys.
Fun. Running the ball. We've been running the ball a lot. Carson's developed a good running skill, and Peter getting hurt, Anthony stepping in. So I'll definitely say running the ball. That's definitely fun.
Yeah, let's give some love to Anthony Stutler, right? 27 carries, $116, 2 touchdowns. He caught 3 passes for 30 yards. Carson runs for 85 yards. So, Coach, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? If they can't stop you and you're having success, run it 65 times if you have to.
Yeah, we're going to do whatever it takes to win, and that's how we've always been here. Obviously we threw the ball a little bit more in the past, but we feel like we've got some good guys up front, and Carson and Anthony run the ball hard, so we're going to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah, Coach, real quick, is Carson, is that a name that you kind of feel like amped up the running a little bit? I know he has a great arm and has passed for you guys a lot in the past, but have you noticed that you might need to run him more?
Probably a little bit, because I think all coaches do this, but in the off season, you say, who do we need to get the ball to? And obviously last year we had Brody and Luke and Gavin Conley, and then you've got Carson and Peter. Well, now those guys are gone. So now your depth chart looks different. So we got to get the ball to Peter Killey, to Carson Colucci, Anthony Stutler, Gio Moore. So now you just find what's our best way to get them the ball. How do you try to get your playmakers the ball to have success? So I think you adapt and you evolve each year to put your kids in the best position to be successful.
And Coach, that's what I love about your philosophy. You seem to adapt game by game, play by play if you have to, and you play to your strengths and you get the most out of your kids. And that's why after an 0-2 start, you're back to 500 at 2-2, and you got a guy like that, Xavier, sitting next to you who loves run blocking and very intelligent kid as well. And every offensive lineman says they'd rather run block than pass block. So continued success, good luck against Northwest, and more importantly, good luck to you and the missus, adding another member of the family this week, right in the middle of a big week of games for you this week.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. Baby coming Thursday, and then my dad coaches for me, Eric coaching at Northwest. So whole family will be there Friday, except for my wife and the kids. So we're looking forward to a fun game Friday night for sure.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Outstanding. Good win for Fairless as they get back to 500, Billy. And how about that week coming up for Coach Sarbaugh, man? Your brother's coaching at Northwest. You're playing them at Fairless. The wife's going in for the C-section. You're getting another addition to the family, and he's got to try and stay focused Thursday with the misses and then Friday with the game.
Yeah, and maybe Coach will join us from the hospital Saturday. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe we can get at least a photo of the newest member of the Sarbaugh family and throw that up here as part of the Saturday morning huddle next week.
Yeah, I know it was a Maslin tradition, right, to hand the footballs to the newborn babies. I think maybe that'll start up in Fairless.
And who knows? Maybe with maybe all the coaches will plan to have babies during the season and schedule their C-sections on a Thursday and play the game on a Friday. That's a first, man. You know what? God bless her. And she's a coach's wife and understands it. And you adapt, right, Billy? You never know when the baby's going to come. So if you set that C-section up, and there's a date for it, right? Within that, 1 to 2 week period, you're good to go. And that's what the coaches' wives do, I guess.
I guess I'm not big on the babies and birth. I don't know anything about all that. So it wasn't on my itinerary to talk about today. So I'll leave it to you guys talking about all that, but definitely a crazy week for the coach and running through what else happened in the area, Kenny. I know a lot of crazy stuff. I want to talk about this real quick. We had our eyes on a couple teams that we knew were 3-0, and we wanted to see if they can move to 4-0, right? So let's get to those teams if we could real quick. I know we'll have Coach Holland in a couple of minutes. Again, Brian Baum will join us at 10:30 from Hoover, Jay Rohr from Jackson, and Coach Lindesmith at 11. Let's talk Jackson for a second before we get to the coach later on. Jackson taking on 3-0 Green. Jackson was 2-1, had won 2 in a row. And, I know we were both kind of score tracking from our games, Kenny, but it seems like they're living up to the prediction we had for them after week 1. And that kind of was, hey, the more Lucas Eckerman plays, the better this offense is going to get, the more consistent this offense will get. However, I think the defense, it seems, is steadily improving throughout this year. A shutout last week, and then this week, just 13 points allowed to Green.
The defense won the game for them yesterday, and we're going to have Anthony Fueline on, who had a pick 6 in that game. Huge turn of events for them. You hold Green and that air attack to only 13 points. Lucas Eckerman threw his first 2 interceptions of the year, so they turned it over. That's going to happen with a young quarterback in a big game like this. But the defense really did their job yesterday, scored enough points on offense and special teams to get the win at Fife Stadium. I guess there were over 5,000 people in the stands yesterday, so a great atmosphere. And Coach Rohr has this team playing outstanding football. They lose the mentor in a close game, right, in week 1. Now they've won 3 straight. So, and how about this for Jackson? That's a Federal League game, so they're one up on Green because they beat them head-to-head in Federal League action. So a huge win for Coach Rohr and the Jackson Polar Bears yesterday.
Right. So we keep saying, oh, it's already week 4. How crazy is it to say it's already week 4? It definitely is. But talking about some of these records, right? To say Jackson's won 3 in a row is crazy to talk about. Northwest, it seemed like, was really going to struggle out of the gates. They're back to 500, Kenny. So we are kind of getting to that point in the season. Other undefeated teams we kind of had our eye on. Malvern, right? I believe Malvern's undefeated at 4-0.
4-0 now. Yep. They got a win yesterday.
Later in the season, we'll do their game with East Canton. We know that'll be a good one. And then I'll plug my guy, Jordan Miller. If you ever want to see what's up with Malvern, he's usually in that area at those games with video and pictures and whatnot. So maybe we'll catch up with him at some point this season or with the coach over there. And then the other one, of course.
Real quick. The Hornets 4-0, Jared Withrow with a big 30-yard touchdown pass late in that game to preserve the 4-0 record. 21 of 27, 277, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions for Withrow, and a good start for the Hornets. They have yet to start IVC play, but they're still 4-0 overall.
Yeah, tremendous. We love to see that. I know Marlington was another team we had our eye on. They unfortunately fall to Cheney yesterday. Now, they went down 14-0 early, Kenny. They hung in there. They kept it at 14. They got on the board. They kept it at 14. They had a chance at the end. You got to give some credit to a tough, hard-fought game again for Marlington, once again signifying that is a big turn for that program.
Well, go back to last year. They got blown out by Cheney, 35-10. So here they are. Yeah, they're losing 14-0. They don't score until there's a minute left in the game. Himmel Heber caught a touchdown pass from McCord for their only score, but 14-6 against Cheney, improvement over where it was last year. And Joe Cardinal in his first year already has tripled the win total from last year for the Duke. So a tough first loss, but this is a team that is much improved from everything we've seen, including the record. And then the other undefeated team, Massillon, they just rolled again, 55-0 over. I missed it by 1 point. I was going for a Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. That means right in the nose, right? I had it 56-0 Massillon. They missed an extra point, I guess. So they win 55-0 over Elkhart, Indiana. And DeJuan Owens with 2 touchdown runs. Jalen Slaughter, 2 touchdown passes. Dorian Pringle scores on the ground. I think they returned a punt and a kickoff maybe for a touchdown in that game. So they have not been tested. They've given up, I think, 0 touchdowns in 3 out of the 4 games on defense. Well, they're going to be tested next week.
Sure.
Defending state champ St. Ed's of Division I comes to calling at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium, and we will have that as our Altman Hospital radio game of the week next week. So we're looking forward to 2 of the Titans in Northeast Ohio going head-to-head.
Well, and from last year, Kenny, you were there. What a great game it was.
Yeah.
But Eds wants revenge, right? They didn't appreciate that during their state championship season, that they took that loss. I guess you'd have to think they've got that on their mind. They're ready to go with that. They want to see Massillon again. They want to see Massillon at Massillon. And not only is that a big matchup, not only is Eds really seeking revenge, but you still have that looming quarterback battle. You still have that who's going to get more time, who's going to get the offense when it matters, right? When you go down 2 scores, which quarterback is heading out there? I'm very interested to see Friday. I know you and I will be texting during that one. I'm going to want to text you and say, who's in? What's going on? Which quarterback's in? Who scored? How? Rushing or passing. It'll be a great game.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as well, Billy, because they are 2 of the best programs in the entire state, right? Unfortunately for Massillon, they've come up short, haven't been able to win the state title, and they have yet to do it in the playoff era, right? Well, Eds has won 5 titles going back to 2010 or whatever it is, and Coach Tom Lombardo does a phenomenal job, as does Nate Moore with Massillon. So yeah, this should be a big one. And one of the themes I'm noticing from this year, Billy, is the revenge factor. Last night, Perry went into Tom Benson last year and beat McKinley. And I asked Coach Hall about it, after the game last night. He said, "Oh yeah, we talked about that. I talked about it at halftime, that we blew a lead at halftime last year against Perry." So revenge was a factor there. We had earlier games this year where revenge was a factor. Sandy Valley got blown out last year by Fairless. They, flipped the script on them this year. And there have been other games where, last year, the end result was not good. Alliance got blown out by Lake last year. They come back this year and win 12-7 at Lake. So revenge is a factor, and kids don't forget that, and they want to get that bad taste out of their mouth. So we'll see if St. Ed's has a revenge factor in the game next week.
Yeah, definitely. I think might be a good opportunity here while we're still kind of waiting on Coach Hall. We got Coach Baum coming up here in just a second. You want to go to Player of the Week first, or your interview with the Player of the Week first?
Let's save Player of the Week interview for later. Let's show what our Player of the Week did. Now, in our game, the Altman Hospital Radio Game of the Week, he was our Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Game. Well, those numbers were very good, right? When you look at them, and so good, he is now our WHBC Sports Player of the Week, and that would be McKinley senior quarterback Keaton Rohde. Look at the numbers, 17 of 24. He ties the McKinley single game record for 301 yards passing. He rushed for 47 and a touchdown. So when you look at the numbers, almost 350 yards total offense in a Federal League lid lifter against a rival, right? The Perry Panthers. And he scores 3 touchdowns. He's perfect on extra points, 6 for 6. He kicked off, was involved with a tackle on a kickoff return, just played an outstanding game, and just a very improved player from his sophomore year to his junior year to his senior year. And that's what you want to see in a quarterback. You want to see him progressing, making strides, and he is no doubt the leader of this team. Yeah, Dante McClellan, outstanding player. Nino Hill, very good running back, solid defense. But you go as far as your quarterback goes, right? Your quarterback has to be your leader, and Keaton Rhodey is that for this year's McKinley Bulldog team, in my opinion. And those numbers right there earned him the Player of the Week honors in week number 4. So congratulations to Keaton Rhodey, and enjoy that Old Carolina Barbecue $25 gift card you got for being our player of the game as well.
Yeah, and looking again as I pull it up here, Kenny, just the plays we're going through for Keaton in a huge game. It really felt like, and I know you can confirm this for me or maybe correct me, it felt like McKinley attacked on the pass, because I know this is a run play here. We'll get to a pass play in a second here. You can see they snap it. I mean, we're counting to 2, maybe 3 before he's launching it. And it really felt like they attacked that Perry secondary.
They saw something in the film, right? Talked to both Coach and Keaton about it after the game. They felt comfortable, very comfortable in throwing the football, because they felt they knew what Perry was going to do against the pass. And, they're athletes. Some years, Billy, one team is just better than the other, right? You have better football players, you have better athletes. And this year, that's the case for the McKinley Bulldogs. Dante McClellan, Nino Hall, McElroy, Keaton Rhodey, they're just a better football team, and they showed it on the field yesterday, and it was a great crowd. We had a great time, and a shout out, by the way, even though, McKinley blew out Perry yesterday, 44-6, they added a safety on defense. That's why the 44 points. Got to give a shout out to Coach Slates and everybody at Perry High School, because as you know, one of the big things each week for us is the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge. And they have a culinary arts program over at Perry High School. And if you can pull up the photos from what we ate yesterday, and these are meals that are made from scratch by the kids. There's Chef Cron, and we appreciate him treating us like royalty yesterday. We had the best meal. I'll give it away. They are number 1 right now after 5 games, Billy Beebe, okay? Perry High School. 3737 kitchen, made from scratch by the students at Perry High School under the leadership there of Chef Cron. They are number 1 on the list. And Northwest.
Look at those wings.
Oh, those were lemon pepper wings that were seasoned overnight. We had ribs. We had pulled pork. We had brisket. We had some green beans, garlic green beans with the burnt ends added to them. And I believe Coach Slate's mom hooked us up with gift bags, and we had jarred peppers and homemade cookies. And it was a feat. I brought some home. They made some. They told me, they said, hey, there's going to be a lot of food. They fed not only everybody at WHBC, the entire press box, and we still brought food home. That's how much food they made for us. So a shout out, a tip of the cap to Chef Cron there and his students, the juniors and seniors. They've had the culinary arts program now for 7 years there at Perry High School. And yes, they are number 1 out of the 5 venues we've visited so far. And Northwest, I'm telling you, you're going to have to do a great job if you're going to try and, three-peat and hold on to your crown, because yesterday's meal was outstanding. That bumped Fairless down to number 2, Billy. So Fairless stood at number 1 for a few weeks. But congratulations to Perry. They are now at the top of our list, number 1 in the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I'm ready to experience this Fairless food life next week at Fairless with our YouTube game. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, I got the kitchen last week. Again, I mean, I think you can go there, right? Stop by there and eat there and get a meal.
Well, every Friday night home game, they have a tailgate, and the Chef Cron there and the students put together a menu on each and every Friday night, a different menu with some, staples that are there on a weekly basis. And he said between 250, 300 people they serve at a tailgate for Friday night home games. So Massillon isn't the only one tailgating before their games on a Friday night. They do it up very well at Perry. And the brisket and the wings right there, Billy, yesterday, just absolutely delicious. And I'm a big green beans guy, right? But their mac and cheese from scratch with the bacon in it too. Oh, absolutely delicious. And yes, George, I'm with you on that. Kudos to that culinary team. I wish I had a high school when I was in high school that had a culinary. I would have went. I might not have tried to go into being a chef, but you kid me? Learn how to cook, be able to cook for yourself, whether you're going to be a chef at a restaurant or not. That's top notch. And Perry, just a great school over there, and the welcome wagon they gave us yesterday was top notch.
Yeah, I'll agree. Got to eat, I think it was just like a chicken pulled pork type of thing last week.
Yep.
And the sandwich and the cookies and all that. So that was tremendous. Just talk with Coach Hall. He'll join us here in just a second here, Kenny. That's the life on a Saturday morning. We know these guys they're doing film and they got players coming in and out and they got coaches they got to talk to. So we'll have Coach Hall in just a minute. We'll have Coach Baum coming up. Coach Rohr coming up, Coach Lindesmith coming up. So all our guests are kind of still ahead of us here.
Yeah, and also ahead of us, week number 5, in which we've got St. Ed's at Perry, Green at McKinley, Northwest at Fairless as our 3 featured games. And for everybody out there, we invite you to check out the games in various ways. WHBCsports.com streaming game of the week. That's an audio stream, and that'll be Green at McKinley next week. The Altman Hospital WHBC Mix 94 radio game of the week. That'll be live on both radio stations. St. Ed's at Massillon, and then you've got a live game on the WHBC Alt Care YouTube game of the week. Northwest at Fairless next week. So we've got 3 great games for you next week. And so check out the different ways that you can watch or listen to those games. And we'll have great games for you all season long as we really look forward to what the second half will bring. Hard to believe, Billy, we'll be heading into week number 5.
Yeah, for sure. And hold on, I'm going to get Coach set here.
All right, we'll get Coach Hall set up here and get his thoughts on their big win. He was celebrating big time after the game last night, joining his players and the band. And Coach, I want to start with the crowd, first of all. The crowd that traveled last night to the PTO from McKinley to see you guys put a whooping on the Panthers was pretty doggone impressive, as was your team's performance yesterday. So you have to be a happy guy all the way around this morning.
I am. It starts with our guys. He had a great week of preparation, great week of focus. We always know the wing tee is impossible to prepare for, but both sides of the ball, offense and defense, did a great job all week, special teams, and we put it together last night.
You talk about the guys, Coach. I'm going to show you here. Our player of the week was, of course, Keaton Roda. He was good on paper if you look at the stats there, and I know Kenny said he was just as good in person. What did you think of your quarterback last night?
Oh, he had a phenomenal job. Not only executing, but being that emotional leader, keeping our guys together, keeping them driving, not letting them get complacent. Just a competitor, man. I mean, I wish he slide more. He's a tough kid, and he plays that way on the field, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah, he had an outstanding game, Coach, running and throwing the football. You guys came out throwing the ball very, very well. You and I talked post-game yesterday that you felt confident because you kind of knew what Perry was going to do defensively against the pass, and then but you have to still go out and execute it. So what was the key to the execution then?
I mean, Perry, they have a specific way that they run their cover 3, and they've been doing it for so long, and they're so well coached. And, it's really not like a lot of people that I've seen run it. And so trying to prepare for that in practice is pretty difficult. But our offensive coordinator had a good plan in terms of preparing our guys for that, and it worked. And, I mean, that our timing last night looks the best it's looked thus far this season.
Coach, we mentioned Keaton. He had a great game throwing, but these other names making a difference for you right now. Who are you noticing is stepping up as the season goes along?
Well, Dante McClellan had a huge night last night. I think that was his best overall performance, both offense and defensively. Keith Quincy, can't say enough about him. I think he's averaging about 48 yards a punt, and on top of being our biggest deep threat on offense at wide receiver, and also being our back end safety, making a lot of plays on defense. And Shaq Hatcher, our middle linebacker, he's all over the field. He's arguably one of the best high school linebackers that I've had the chance to coach. And our defensive line's coming along, offensive line. So with a win like that, it's definitely a team win. Guys are taking coach, and our coaches are doing a great job developing these guys and pushing that bar every week. And we just got to keep it going.
Coach, you were whole for the first time for a full game yesterday with Nino back running the football for you and Dante playing. Is this a sign of things to come when everybody buys in, everybody's active, and what McKinley can do?
I think so. Definitely not trying to be a one-trick pony. Definitely want to keep this thing going, but ultimately it's about preparation and not getting complacent. And so that's my job and my staff's job, and making sure that our guys stay hungry and really want to see how good they really can be.
Coach, last night when you guys are scoring at will, scoring early, scoring often, how do you keep the defense motivated? Do you feel like that's something you have to do, or do you notice the players doing that?
Oh, no. Our defensive mindset is a very it doesn't waver. So, our defensive mindset is set by our defensive coordinator and his staff. And, hell or high water, they have things that they need to accomplish, and they understand that. And our defense needs no extra, or hasn't this season, need no extra motivation to get ready to play. So we just got to keep getting better with our reads and our checks and our keys. And but the attitude is definitely there.
Put it into words, Coach, the importance of beating a rival like Perry. First Federal League game of the year. You're starting 1-0 in the Fed and 3-1 now. Instead of climbing uphill trying to get back to 500, you're 3-1 overall on the season. So what does that mean to you as the coach and to the players to be able to get off to a good start like this?
I think it's good, but, we talk about yesterday being history, tomorrow being a mystery. We got to live in the moment. And so we're only worried about going 1-0 every week. And if we keep that mindset, I think that'll keep us focused, and don't look up. Just keep grinding and keep your eye on the prize.
How about that, Billy? Yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Focus on today. Coach, that's Coach Speak 101 right there. I love that. I'm gonna steal that and use that on the radio show. Is that okay?
That's okay, but that's Nick Saban. That is not me. So just
okay. So you stole it from somebody. All right, I'll steal it from you after you stole it from Coach Saban. I like it.
Yes, sir.
And Coach, I think a question that kind of sometimes is out there is, when you guys are winning, when you are playing well, do you guys keep an eye and watch other teams and see what other teams are doing as far as not only in the Federal League, but of course Massillon?
Yeah. You always want to try to keep pace what's going on, especially with your league, especially with your arch rival. But our focus is always in the task at hand. But everybody is concerned about rankings, playoffs, all that stuff, but we're not invested in that stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, Coach.
Yeah.
And with that mindset of tomorrow is a mystery, to help solve that mystery, I'm sure you've already started on green, right? They take their first loss of the season last night. Jackson beats them in a heck of a game at Fife Stadium. How do you make sure after a blowout win, and I know yesterday is history, but to make sure your kids' heads don't swell too much going into that green game?
Yeah, well, that's it's never been a problem for me to keep guys and keep things in perspective. And so guys know that with more success comes more expectation. And so now we just have to focus on doing what we can do better, finding out the things that we can correct from last week. It's all about pushing the envelope forward. And so I always tell my guys success breeds two things, either more success or it breeds complacency. And the amount of work you put in is going to determine what you get. And so if we keep that mindset, I think we'll be okay.
All right, Coach, real quick before we let you go, this time last year, I think it's talked about enough. You guys were 0-4, now 3-1. I want to get into what you personally changed. Pre-game meal, what you're wearing on the sideline, the hat you're wearing. What changed for you to mix things up?
Nothing. It's just, guys have had a couple years now living and existing by the standard that we set. And you see it permeate into their school life. You see it permeate into their personal life. And so with building a culture, it starts with a mindset. And, guys are approaching this thing differently now. They're a lot more focused. They're a lot more disciplined. We still have a long way to go. But it's just all about holding guys to the standard and those guys meet that expectation.
All right, one last thing before we let him go, Billy. What about church tomorrow, Coach? 44-6. Ouch, that's a tough one. When you see Coach, what's going to be said at church tomorrow?
Well, unfortunately for us, we actually have football on Sunday, so I won't be at church. But we greeted each other yesterday after the game. Our priest was on both sidelines yesterday.
He was. I saw him yesterday.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, everyone after the game said, "Make sure your priest starts coming to all the games now," because. Hey, I say anything we can do, we'll do. So,
no doubt. Hey, great win yesterday. Good luck next week against Green and the rest of the season. And thanks for joining us on the Huddle, Coach.
You got it. Have a good one, guys.
All right, there he is, Antonio Hall, 3-1 this year, off to a much better start, as you pointed out, Billy, than they were last year, and a big Federal League win for them yesterday. So they're at the top of the standings, along with Lake and Jackson after 1 week of Federal League play. So thanks to him for joining us. Who do you want to go to here, Billy? We've got coaches lined up here, and hey, we can do them both at the same time. We can try something different here on the Huddle this morning, since they're both in the huddle with us. Billy, you want to bring it? We'll start with Coach Baum, and then we'll bring in Coach Rohr and his player that's with him. So let's bring in Coach Baum after a big win last night in a game that you did there at Louisville. How are you, Coach?
Good.
All right, Coach, we talked after the game, a lot to be happy with 34 on the board, the lead almost the whole time. What made you smile most last night?
The team effort, just growing as we have so far in the first 4 weeks, and just happy with the effort at the end. And we know we got to continue to grow, and we're going to do that with our young guys.
One of the keys yesterday, Coach, Kyler Maraglia gets on track for you. Transfers from Northwest. It's week 4. He goes for $130 and 2 scores. How important was it for you to get him on track to show everybody that, yes, he is going to be a big part of our offense?
You got to get the run game going. We know we have some receivers and Carson can make plays, but for the line to keep developing, like I said, there are a lot of juniors, all new starters. As they continue to develop, get better, we will grow as a football team, and having a run game is a part of that, a big part of that.
Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. We've seen a couple games now from you guys, and a ton of points on the board, of course. I personally think there's another level to this offense. Would you agree?
Yeah, we just got to keep developing our line. Give Carson more time. Like I said, the receivers are playmakers. Got a stout running back in there with Kyler. We just got to keep growing as a whole unit. And as we do that, you'll see more and more improvement out of Hoover.
How key was it yesterday, Coach, to answer their field goal early with an 89-yard kickoff return by Jack Andis?
Yeah, that was a great play by Andy's there. He hit the open seam. Once he hit that open field, he was gone. We know he's a fast kid, gets out there, and we got 3 guys back here to return to the house. So, we like having those threats like that.
Yeah, and one threat, that kick return, Coach, but you guys also had an interception later in that game to kind of kill momentum.
Yeah, Zach, who's Brocker's with me, and Roach, DN. Those guys are important in our defense, and they were going to drive there late, and Brocker's able to kill that with a big pick for us.
All right, well, let's get the kids up there with us, Coach, and we'll talk to them about the big win yesterday. And who do we have here? Introduce yourself to our viewing audience, gentlemen.
Fresh Roach. I'm Zach Brocker.
Zach, let's go to you with the interception. Take us through that play and what was key about that, and how important was it for the defense to dominate yesterday?
Oh, yeah, it was so important, that we knew they like to go to the boundary there. Coach moved me onto the boundary. I was manned up against a guy. Easy pick. Killed the drive, make sure they couldn't score.
And guys, that you can both answer this. While you did have the lead most of the game, it was noticeable Louisville was rocking last night. Was that a tough place to play?
Yeah, for sure. We're their big rivalry, so we knew they were going to come out and they wanted to beat us. So we just had to match their intensity all night.
And for both of you guys, this season you're off to a 3-1 start, but you haven't played a Federal League game yet. Other teams in the Fed got started last night. Looking at the schedule for next week, let's see. Who do you guys? You are at Glen Oak next week, right? Yeah. So the momentum that you've gained through this 3-1 start, how important is that in raising the confidence of both you guys, your teammates, going into that Glen Oak game?
Yeah, I think it's big. I think we really need to focus on still getting our line there. We really need to be able to have a dominant run game to open up the pass, and then I think from there it'll all just fall into line.
Zach, what about you?
Yeah, we had 3 sophomores score last night, so I think it's important that we build up their confidence going into the Federal League so the team clicks on all cylinders.
All right, guys, I'm going to give you a chance here to put on your salesman tie, okay? I think the offense gets a lot of attention. Carson gets a lot of attention. Kyler, Ashby. Sell me on the defense real quick. Talk to me about the defense. Hype yourselves up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're starting a lot of new guys, but I think we're starting to click, especially on the D line. We're starting to get home a lot, get a lot of sacks. I think we had 3 or 4 last night. Harper Laughlin had 2 playing nose guard. So we have people switching around, but we're figuring it out. We're making do with what we got, and the linebackers are playing good. And yeah. Talk about the DBs.
Yeah, I think we have 4 corners right now. All of us can play. We got a lot of depth at that position. AJ goes down at safety last week. Kish and Hassan come in. They're all playing good. I think we have a deep DB core and a lot of guys who can play, which is good for us.
Off to a great start, guys, and a big game this week in your Federal League lid lifter as you go to Glen Oak. Thanks for joining us here on the Huddle, you and Coach. Best of luck next week and throughout the year, fellas.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Checking in with Coach Baum and some of his players. So we go right from that, Billy Beebe, to Jay Rohr and his player that he's going to bring with him this morning, Anthony Fueline. Another exciting, huge win, Coach. Congratulations. 3 straight now for you. Another close game. What's been the key to taking that opening season loss to Mentor and flipping the script over the next 3 weeks?
Really just commitment. I mean, the kids believe in one another. They take the coaching, like I've said, week in and week out. And they just execute the game plan. And again, that's a tremendous team over there that Coach Geis has at Green. They got tremendous athletes too. They've gotten, exceptionally well on defense, getting after us. But when you got 2 explosive teams, it's always going to come down to the very end. And obviously we were blessed to come out with a victory.
All right, Coach, maybe this is a simple question. Maybe this is a tough one. Did defense win that game for you last night?
Well, obviously that's a tough question. I believe in winning in all 3 phases of the game. To be honest with you, did they play exceptionally well? There's no doubt about it. Week in, week out, the defense is playing tremendous right now. But I am true in regards to all 3 phases of the game. Special teams, we did a tremendous job in the special teams game. I mean, they second possession, they tried a fake punt on our 20-yard line, and we were able to stop them. And then obviously we executed 2 field goals. Again, our special teams came up big, and I touched on it too offensively. When we had to do something, they were able to do it. when it's a 13-7 game, we put an 80-yard drive, 18-play, 80-yard drive together and marched it down and scored. So it's really all three phases, but certainly the defense is playing well right now.
All right, let's bring in one of those guys from your defense who had a huge pick six yesterday, took it to the house, 54 yards, Anthony Fueline. Anthony, take me through that play because it was a momentum changer and a big play, and anytime the defense scores, coach is going to be happy with that. So walk us through your pick six.
All week, our coaches have a great game plan for us. I was just in the right coverage at the right time, read the QB's eyes, and just was there.
Great to see you score on defense, Anthony. We've seen you score plenty on offense this year. What's more fun, offense or defense?
I'm not going to answer that question. They can't answer that, but definitely a pick six is top tier. That's
I can help there. Deep down, he's an offensive-minded guy. There's no doubt about it.
But he's fixing his hair right now too, right?
Yeah.
So you know that.
But he's
I didn't answer.
He's turned over to the defensive side, and obviously, again, he's doing exceptionally well for us defensively.
Well, I don't even want to ask then, Coach, if basketball or football is more fun.
Oh,
I can answer that too. No, I'm a diehard multi-sport guy, so I'm just blessed, and obviously that he plays as many sports as he can, especially while he's in high school. So no question there.
I know his dad, so he has to play both ways, right? Now, if you don't play defense at basketball or football, it's not good. So I know Pops was proud of that pick six yesterday. Did you get a chance to talk to him after the game, or was he there?
He was there. Yeah, he was very proud of me. The last 2 weeks with the 2 pick sixes, that's what he enjoys to see.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Coach, for you, getting a win against a very high, potent offense like that from Green, building the confidence not only of your defense, but like you said, in all three phases, but to get that first win in the Fed in your first game, how important is that to build the confidence of your team, but also let everybody else around Stark County and in the Fed know that you guys are for real this year?
Yeah, and before I answer that, I do want to say, too, on the air, I don't know if you guys are aware of what took place and transpired last night. Again, I think it's evident that I let people know our thoughts and prayers are with Green in the Green community as their kicker went down. I believe he was going into surgery this morning, for his leg. It's obviously a terrible scene. But going back to that, again, you're exactly right. A high-powered offense over there in Green, a much-improved defense. We knew it was going to be a battle. And almost, again, it comes down to that concept. Almost, 3 weeks ago, the last team with the ball has an opportunity or is going to have the opportunity to win the football game. And we know what the Federal League is. Each week moving forward, it's going to be a grind. It's certainly a momentum booster for us, knowing that we're going into, continuing the Federal League play. And we're excited for the opportunity to be 1-0 and, again, hosting Perry next week.
Anthony, for the receiving core, you guys have a lot of talent, a lot of playmakers. You have a young quarterback, though. How's it been working with him, kind of getting on the same page and giving him the confidence that, you guys are open, just get us the ball?
It's been great. He's a great kid, great QB. He knows how to run. He can launch it, and he knows when we're open. So, he's doing great.
Coach, how did Lucas react yesterday? He threw his first 2 picks of the year, and with a young kid, can go one of 2 ways, right? The good way or the bad way. And you got to win, and he ran for 60-some yards as well. But how did he handle that yesterday?
I like to be honest. At first he was a little hesitant because he made those 2 picks and really didn't want to make another mistake, thinking that he's letting the team down. And, I had the opportunity to speak with him and, just, again, let him know that we're behind him and that, to continue to be him. When Lucas is Lucas, we're going to have a great opportunity to be in a game, let alone, obviously, to win the game. And like I said, 18 plays. There was a 3rd and 12 and a 3rd and 10. And both those times, Lucas let it rip. I believe he hit Fuel Line for one and Noah Colando for the other. And again, just tremendous effort, tremendous moxie standing back there. And like Fuel Line said, when he's when he sees the open receivers, and we do have a lot of those guys that have the opportunity to make plays for us, Lucas does a great job getting the ball in their hands and letting them go make plays.
Coach, when you guys made this schedule and kind of put this together, 3-1 would probably be pretty ideal when you were marking, if you were, I don't know if you do mark down wins and losses, but if you were to mark down the schedule.
Yeah, and hey, I'm gonna say right now, I mean, we're not happy. Obviously, we are 3-1. We know the grueling schedule that we have ahead of us. And I keep preaching those guys. There's no complacency. These guys have big goals and big aspirations, and we do as a coaching staff, and I certainly do as a head coach. And it's we're going to continue to go 1 week at a time. Obviously, again, Perry's coming to our place. Next week. We're certainly excited to be 3-1. But again, we know there's a lot more work to be done.
Anthony, do me a favor. Tell Pops I said hello. Last time I saw him was coaching in the national championship game last year. And good luck this year at Mount Union. And good luck to you guys the rest of the way, too. Look forward to seeing you guys down the road. And keep up the great work, Jay, there in your second year. Phenomenal turnaround with that team. And Anthony, good luck the rest of the way as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
How about that Jackson team, man? Impressive. And Lucas Eckerman as a sophomore. And when you're dealing with young kids, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, Billy, there's going to be that doubt when there's adversity, right? And it doesn't go because kid was rolling, man. He's slinging the ball all over the place, 5 touchdowns in a game. And, it's all going well. But when it goes bad, how does he handle it? And how does he learn from it? And you heard Coach say, yeah, you had to talk to him. He was a little gun shy maybe, but guess what? When you throw the ball that much, you're going to throw picks. It's going to get tipped at the line of scrimmage. Somebody's going to drop a ball and it falls in the opponent's hands, or you make a bad read or a bad throw. You got to be able to, the old Ted Lasso line, right? Goldfish, right? Got to be a goldfish. 10 seconds, got to forget about it and move on to the next play. And so, hey, I'm happy to hear that he was able to make big plays a little bit later, pick up the first down, keep drives alive. And bottom line for Lucas, if he's watching, your team won 20-13. Yes, you threw 2 picks. Your team won the game, though, and that's all that matters. Stats are great, but wins are even more important.
Yeah, and what a group for him, too, Kenny, right? I mentioned it to Anthony, to have those seniors, to have those older guys, and to have playmakers, right? And if you just think to yourself, man, if I can just get them the ball, that's all I got to do is get it to them, and we know they'll make it. So seems like they responded appropriately. And then again, we get that comment from Coach Rohr. I heard it from Coach Baum in the post game yesterday. We heard it from Coach Hall. Not done, not satisfied, not enough. Are we where we want to be? No. That was something. It seems like Coach Baum has them rehearse it. Are we where we want to be? All of them, no, at the same time. So that might be a coach thing to say, are we satisfied yet? Let's ask another coach here as we bring in Coach Jeff Lindesmith. Coach, do you ask your team constantly if they're satisfied, and they gotta give you a no?
I don't know if we do it in a group, but they hear me say that quite a bit. You better believe it. And we throw that right in the old life. If you all of a sudden become a little satisfied someday in your job, somebody's going to work harder than you. Somebody's going to get promoted before you do. And you better believe it. You should never be satisfied in life.
Coach, I'll use a line that I just shared with my son not too long ago from Tom Hanks, the famous actor, right? This too shall pass. You may have a great game for 3 weeks in a row. This too shall pass. You may have 2 bad weeks in a row. This too shall pass. It's what lies ahead that you have to control, right?
You're exactly right. You only can control that present time right now, and how well you do at the present time, and how accountable you are to your teammates by not letting them down is important.
All right, Coach, let's walk through your season so far. What's your feeling after 4 weeks, 2-2, some ups, some downs? I know you got a ton of new players, some guys that are getting new opportunities.
Yeah, you know what? We're getting better. I think that was important. And we started the year off, Perry and Norwayne, 2 teams that I knew for a fact that they were going to challenge some of our young guys. Our defense was going to be relatively young on the front. Some of those guys, I knew their personalities very well, that they were going to have to learn the hard way at times. And they did that. Our linebacking crew, obviously, all new replacements, guys that didn't play at all last year. Same kind of thing. We were going to go up against a couple of different offenses in our first 2 weeks where, the wing tee's a little bit different. We're from Norwayne. Norwayne will spread it out a little bit, a lot more size than we've seen. Just massive that spread us out, but still power the football a little bit. And we kind of learned the hard way at times. We did some good things, and we knew as a coaching staff we were going to have to point out some real good things the kids did, not necessarily just all mistakes and screaming and hollering and during films, but we did a lot of teaching in a couple weeks. We're still doing a lot of teaching with some of these kids, but we just wanted to make sure we got better, and those kids saw that they were getting better. And we started probably week 3. Last week, Richmond Heights was a team with a lot of speed, a lot of skill that we started seeing some of those kids playing downhill, especially defensively. Our linebackers are playing a little bit better downhill, making some tackles for loss instead of maybe shuffling sideways and trying to make a tackle for +3 or +4. And a lot of you guys saw the Perry game. If you go sideways against Perry, the big running back's going to probably fall for 8 or 9 yards, and that makes an easy game for them. So we started seeing some improvement that way. We've been banged up a little bit offensively. Last week, we started junior Louis DeRussa at quarterback, and Brendan Betts was our first, had the first 2 weeks, and Louis kind of handled the ball pretty well for us in game 3. Last night in game 4, Brendan came back and played. It's weird. I know he didn't want to sit out week 3 and probably could have pushed it and got him into play, but we didn't. And he had a chance maybe to watch a little bit more of what we were trying to do. And it helped last night and what we were doing, some of the reads that the quarterback was having. He kind of rushed the first 2 weeks. He wanted to make things happen maybe a little faster than they actually were going to occur. And we thought last night he did a really, really good job at some of the reads. He runs the ball. He's got tremendous speed, but if you rush that, you get ahead of your blockers at times. And last night he put it together and played pretty well. So I think we're getting better. Obviously, our schedule is it's a grind, and we're going to get moving. We have Alliance next week, so it's always a challenge. I saw Mentor Lake Catholic last Saturday. It's in 2 weeks. We go up to Mentor Lake Catholic. They put a pretty good beating on Buchtel last Saturday. Big, really skilled, another great quarterback. So we're getting there because it is now time. The stakes are getting higher for us.
No question. Big win last night, 34-3 over Salem. You mentioned Betts, playing well last night. He had a touchdown. I want you to tell me what makes Dan Boren so special. Last week, 5 touchdowns, 2 runs, 2 receptions, and either an interception or a punt return for a TD last week. And then he gets 2 more touchdowns last night. What makes him so good, Coach?
Well, first of all, it's his work ethic. It's incredible. He's probably only about 5'8", but he's probably one of the strongest guys on our team. He puts a tremendous amount of work in the offseason in the weight room. Very, very athletic. Somebody that's played the last couple of years. Real shifty, real fast, but he'll run over you. I think last week in our punt return, he broke 4 tackles and ran one back, which showed his strength. I know last night going into the game, talking to Coach Johnson before the game, that's all he wanted to keep talking about was 22. Dan Boren, just how strong he looks and how strong he plays. Had an interception last night for us. Very, very skilled athlete. Great hands, tremendous hips. Very, very strong. Another thing he does is, I'm telling you, he's one of the best punters around. He can, and we don't like to use him because I don't like to punt at all. But he is and he's doing our kickoff duties now too. So he is a jack of all trades, and our kickoff team has gotten so much better with him. Placement, things what we're doing with him. Takes great pride in what he does, and he's a special athlete for sure.
And going forward, Coach, I mean, that's not only talent-wise, but leadership-wise, that's a guy you're leaning on, right?
You better believe it. We lean on him. We lean on a lot of our seniors. We only have 9, but that's a pretty good number for us. And he's been a leader in the offseason. Gabe Grisey is another offensive lineman for us, another guy that's gotten so much bigger and stronger, and a team captain for us, and another little guy named Drew Neal that people watch us play. He's just about 5'5" out there, but he lights it up. He can hit, he can go, and you watch our team. We think we can spread the ball around a little bit. Jack Hoppins, the kid who's probably about 4'40" kid that can run, got good hands. That if we get him in space, we can cause some problems. But we just got to execute a little bit better than we did early in the year, and we're starting to do that.
Coach, I'm curious. There are only 3 independent teams now that we cover: Louisville, U, Massillon, right? So there's no conference championship you're playing for. You play one of the toughest schedules in Stark County. How do you get through to your kids not to panic early? Like, you're 0-2, right? But you're playing above your level of play as far as the OHSAA goes. How do you get through to them to let them know that, hey, this isn't the end of the world. Let's wait and see after 10 weeks where we are. And by playing these guys, it's going to make us better, even if we do come up with an L.
Yeah, I think we harp that a lot. Our schedule, our kids know who we play. We always just preach. You want to make sure you're in the day, and you want to get better by the day. And at the end of the week, if you've practiced hard and worked hard, hopefully things go your way, but you got to get better. And we always said our schedule, we just get better by the week. You never know what's going to happen. It's a challenge at times. And obviously everybody wants to win, and that's the big thing everybody wants to talk about. You got to win, you got to lose. Sometimes just your performance for your teammates and how hard you work is really what you can become. And that's exactly, it's a great life lesson. Your accountability to anybody you're around, your family, your job, your teammates, your kids, whatever. It's going to be that way. And we really harp that, and we really try to teach that. And our kids know. We talk a little bit. I don't know if these current kids like to talk about past teams very often, or they listen very much. But, there was a time where in 2016, we were 2-3. We were 1-3 at the time, and we were 2-3, and we just kept getting better and just kept our focus that way. And, sometimes it's going to be tough, and our schedule makes it tough. But just focus on those little things like that, and things will take care of themselves.
Billy, I want to jump in real quick here with another follow-up on that. You're 0-2. Do you change the pregame meal from peanut butter jelly to something else, or no?
Hey, I heard you talking about goldfish, though, Kenny. I didn't want to bring that back up. I just heard the goldfish thing. No, hey, I did change it up, and I shrunk a little bit, but we were out of jelly, so I went ham and cheese 2 weeks ago. So we did go cheese last week. There you go. A little mayo. Pretty good, a little Italian sub. It wasn't bad, but
if it ain't broke now, don't fix it, Coach. You got to stick with that. You're 2-0 with the ham and cheese.
Yeah, you're probably right. I might make sure I pick up some ham maybe from next Thursday for Friday night's meal. That's exactly right.
You talked about hard hitting, Coach, about strength, about guys getting bigger. I mean, speaking of food and lifting and conditioning, I mean, what did you guys do this off season? You think that maybe you're seeing as the year goes on?
Well, you know what? I think a lot of times, our off-season workouts are pretty good. We really try to work on a lot of speed and a lot of strength. We think that's really important for our kids and what they have to do. I think we've probably benefited a little bit more in the summer. We really conditioned hard in July. And I thought these kids, we're going to have a few kids going both ways. I thought our kids were going to get banged up. They had to be in great shape. We really did some extra things that way. We worked a little bit more on cardio at times in July than we have in the past. I thought that was important. And we added a little bit more strength things as we were going through two-a-days. I think that's important. Everybody's going to lose a little bit of strength, but we wanted to make sure we measured and evaluated our kids to try to maintain some strength. And hopefully we're doing that. We just got done in a 45-minute weight room session this morning and worked at it hard. So hopefully that continues.
When you say we, does that include you?
Hey, I did not work out this morning. No, a little bit tired today, but there has been times, usually in the winter I do. I try to work out with our kids. I don't do all those running and boxing and jumping anymore. You just can't get as high as you used to, right? These knees get a little bit too sore, but yeah, at times.
Coach, are you a Ted Lasso fan? Have you seen Ted Lasso yet?
No.
Okay. So
hey, who does he play for? What teams he play for?
Yeah, who's he play for, right? So Ted Lasso, right? The TV show, he's a football coach who gives up after winning a national championship at the Division II level, right? He goes and he coaches soccer. And whenever there's a bad player, a mistake made by his players, he calls them over. He says, do you know which animal has the shortest memory? And they say, no, what is it? He says, goldfish. They have a 10-second memory. So after a bad play, be a goldfish. So you can use that with your team now if you want to use that, by the way.
All right. And Kenny, when I just buzzed in there, I just heard you talking about goldfish. I thought maybe Coach Rohr had that for his pregame meal. He eats goldfish. I don't know. I'll have to ask Javer tonight. Talk to him, see if he's eating goldfish like that. But all right, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll start watching TV in December.
I was going to say you're a little occupied right now, but it has been out for 3 years, though, Coach. But I could see him eating a goldfish. We were talking with Antonio Hall and with Zach Slates. We're going to get them in a Yido eating contest once the season is over, going head to head. So pick a coach, and we'll have a ham and cheese eating contest for you with another coach in the area.
There you go. All right, there you go.
All right, Coach, congrats on the turnaround here, the 2 wins in a row. We're wishing you guys luck. We'll definitely be at some of your games. So thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a great day.
All right, tell Carla we said hi. She's the best in the family. What a great guy, man. Love that guy. But you knew the goldfish saying, right? Ted Lasso?
Yeah. I like Ted Lasso. That's one of those shows where even if you don't watch, Kenny, it's so popular that the good clips make their way to you one way or another.
No, I'm with you. My girlfriend and I, we've watched probably all 3 seasons twice, maybe going on a 3rd time. It's just that good, and the development of all the characters is outstanding. So just like, as the show moved on, the development of the characters got better and the show got better, just kind of like after 4 weeks, right? You're getting new characters in high school football playing bigger roles this year, going from sophomore to junior or junior to senior. And as they get better, your team gets better. And let's take a look at all the games from around the area last night. Billy, run them down for everybody. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Huddle. He's Billy Beebe. I'm Kenny Roda. McKinley, a winner last night over Perry, 44-6. Our player of the week, Keaton Rohde, threw for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 47 yards, another score, 6 of 6 in extra points. Nino Hill, 86 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the Bulldogs. Dante McClellan, 3 catches, 104 yards and a touchdown. Their defense held Perry to 102 yards and only 1 score. So McKinley now 3-1, 1-0 overall. Perry falls to 2-2 and 0-1. Lake a winner, 10-7 over Glen Oak. Kelton Dutton, a 38-yard field goal in the 4th quarter. He also added an extra point. So Lake now 3-1 overall, 1-0 in the Fed. Glen Oak falls to 1-3 and 0-1 in the Federal League. Although Cole Anderson, decent game last night for Glen Oak, Billy. He was 11 of 23, $171, a touchdown, and a pick at Bob Cummings Field. Jackson, we had Coach Rohr on a little bit ago. Jackson beats Green. Final score 20-13 at Fife Stadium. The place was rocking. Anthony Fuline, one of our guests this morning here on the Huddle, with a pick 6, 54-yard touchdown. 3 interceptions by that defense last night. And Lucas Eckerman struggled a little bit. First time this season he struggled, but made some big plays when it mattered. Jackson now 3-1, 1-0 in the Fed. And Green falls to 3-1, 0-1 in the Fed. And Hoover plays outside of the Federal League, a rivalry game. They beat Louisville 34-10 in the 101st meeting of that matchup. Maraglia, 130 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Carson Derlin threw for $179 and 2 more scores. And they had an 89-yard kickoff return by Jack Andis and Harper Laughlin with 2 sacks. Hoover now 3-1 on the year. They'll play their first Federal League game this coming week at Glen Oak. While Louisville falls to 1-3. They're one of the 3 independents that we cover, but a lot of skill players with that Hoover team. If they can get the lines going on offense and defense, going to be a team that could get better with time throughout the year. We just had Coach Lindesmith on, Central Catholic, 34-3 over Salem. We just talked about Dan Boron and the year he's having so far, and Brennan Betts with a nice game at quarterback for them. Central now 2-2 after starting 0-2. Alliance bounces back from that loss last week, Billy, to Streetsboro. They win it 48-14 over Ellett. Now 3-1 overall, 0-0 in the EBC. Brendan Zerbrug with a couple of touchdown passes, threw for 88, ran for 120 yards in that win for the Aviators. Marlington
over there, Kenny. Maybe they finally flicked things on.
You know what? Sometimes a loss can be good, Billy. It really can. And maybe that was the wake-up call that Coach Goodman's team needed. Marlington loses. Maybe this will help them. to Cheney, 14-6. They lost last year 35-10 to Cheney. So improvements all the way around for Coach Joe Cardinal in his first year there. Marlington won one game last year. They're already 3-1 this year. Sandy Valley rolling, man. Even their loss last week was, if you can say, it was a good loss, right? They played Canton South very tough last week. And this week, the Valley rolls again, 48-6 over Minerva. Unfortunately, that's 23 in a row for Minerva in the wrong direction. Sandy Valley bounces back to improve to 3-1 overall. They have yet to play an IVC South game. Nick Petro, 219 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Lucas Gilland had a couple of touchdowns. One of them right there his was on a punt return. Lucas Gilland, 82 yards. That kickoff return was from Jason Morris of 80 yards. So a good win for Sandy Valley, bouncing back after that loss last week to Canton South. Melbourne now 4-0 on the year. How about the Hornets? 27-20 over Tusky Valley yesterday. Jared Witherow, 21 of 27 throwing it for 277 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Massillon just rolls. They're steamrolling everybody, man. 55-0 over Elkhart of Indiana. DeJuan Owens, 2 touchdown runs. Jalen Slaughter, 2 touchdown passes. Dorian Pringle with a touchdown run. Let's see, what else did they do? They had a punt return for a touchdown yesterday. 5 turnovers created by that defense. The defense has not given up a touchdown in 3 of their 4 games so far this year. 4-0 Massillon. How about this? They take on St. Ed's next week at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. We'll have that game for everybody as our Altman Hospital radio game of the week on WHBC and Mix 94.1. Speaking of rolling, Billy, 45-14 South over Orville. Poochie Snyder, 381 yards of total offense and 4 touchdowns. How about as a team, Billy? Coach Matt Dennison sent me this text this morning. 648 yards of total offense yesterday for the Wildcats of Canton South as they improved to 1-0. Or I shouldn't say improved. They are 1-0 in the Pac-7, improved to 4-0 overall. Tavon Castle, 7 catches, $122 in the air and a touchdown. Jerome Cox had 116 yards rushing and a touchdown. So another win for Canton South. We had Coach Sarbaugh on after their big 31-24 overtime win over Triway. Fairless now 2-2 overall, but more importantly, 1-0 in the Pac-7. Carson Colucci, 85 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in that win. Fairless ran the ball 52 times last night in that win. Northwest now 2-2, just like Fairless, and 1-0 in the Pac-7 after they beat Manchester 42-21. Connor Satterfield, he was our Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Week, or Player of the Game last week. 142 yards rushing again this week for Connor Satterfield. Parker Kraft with 147 yards rushing. So congratulations to Coach DeMarco in Northwest. Tuslaw takes it on the chin yesterday. CVCA beats them 42-0. Tuslaw falls to 2-2. And East Canton gets their first win of the year as they beat St. Thomas yesterday, 40-8. So congratulations to Spider Miller and the boys. The first win of the season, now 1-3 for the Hornets. And unfortunately, St. Thomas falls to 0-4, and they've lost 20 in a row. So there's a recap of all the games from Stark County last night, Billy.
Yeah, a lot changing and a lot setting up for next week and a lot setting up for the rest of the season. We're now at a point where we can kind of say, okay, we've seen the real so-and-sos. We've seen the real this team, that team, but still a long way to go, right, Kenny? We talked about coaches not satisfied, coaches that, even with winning aren't satisfied. So some exciting games this week. Can't wait for next week. And I think we'll have a loaded schedule overall. And then, of course, we'll be full-on broadcasting again next week. I'll preview real quick. We'll be live on YouTube next Friday from Fairless. Northwest has really turned that thing around. So now that's the battle of 2-2. Both those teams looking to get above 500. So you can watch that live on YouTube, just like you're watching us, either on YouTube or Facebook, 1480 WHBC. I'll again plug, you can rewatch Hoover at Louisville too. So
Billy, how about, go ahead. I thought you were finished there. My bad.
Well done. Yeah, go ahead.
How about we run the Keaton Rohde interview that I did with him after the game last night? It was our Altman Hospital radio game of the week, Federal League game between McKinley and Perry. McKinley wins it 44-6. Keaton Rohde ends up being not only our Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Game, but our Player of the Week as well. And I had a chance to catch up with him last night after that huge victory. All right, happy to have with us right now the Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Game. That means he gets a $25 gift card to go eat at Old Carolina Barbecue. Keaton Rohde, quarterback for the McKinley Bulldogs, leads McKinley to a 44-6 win over Perry at Keith Wakefield Stadium. How important was this game tonight because of what they did to you last year in the second half, coming back and beating you, and this was the first Federal League game of the year?
Right, this one's huge, but we're not going to let it get too huge. We talk about every week just coming out and going 1-0, so that we're on the green now. This is behind us. We won this game. We're on the green now. But, it's good for the morale of the team to come out here with a big win like this to open up the Federal League, but we're on to the next week.
For you, about 350 yards of total offense, throwing and running the football, 3 touchdowns, 6 of 6 on extra points. Let's start with throwing the ball. In the first half, you seemed to be able to throw at will. What was it in the game plan that you guys saw something and then went out and executed it?
Yeah, you know what Perry's defense does. They come out and they're going to give you the same thing and they're going to make you beat it. So, and all week in practice, we were just repping what we know can beat the defense that they give us. And we just came out here and executed.
How nice is it for a quarterback like yourself to have so many weapons to either hand the ball off to or throw it to?
Yeah, it's great. I'm up there making the O-line checks, getting my O-line right, but I know if I get it out to the hands of my playmakers, they'll go score touchdowns.
I got to ask you about the touchdown right before the end of the half. I'm standing on the sidelines. It looked like the coaches wanted you to spike it. And was that you taking a gamble right there? And
yeah,
going with the QB
I definitely took a gamble. The first time I spiked the ball over here on the 30, the defense got down kind of lazy, and they were calling for another spike on like the 2. And I saw the D-line get down lazy again, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So, but if you make a call like that, you gotta execute it, so I'm glad I did.
3-1 start for you guys after not a good start last year. Right. What's been the key to this year?
I think just maturity of our team. Last year we had a lot of guys, if stuff went wrong early, we would point fingers or we wouldn't come together as a group. I think this year a lot of guys have each other's back, and it shows on the field that when something went wrong, especially last week, we just rally together and we don't let the play that happened bad get to us. We just move on to the next play.
And I got to ask you about your kicking exploits. All of a sudden, you're one of the top kickers in Stark County.
Right.
How long have you been kicking, and how far can you kick a field goal? We were debating that.
Yeah, back in middle school I kicked, and I don't know. I got here when I transferred. No one really knew I could kick, and so we didn't really have a kicker. And I kicked in practice a little bit, but I finally was like, because they were worried about me getting hurt and stuff. I was like, let me go kick it, And I don't know how far I can kick it. I haven't really backed it up as far as I can. We just practice like 35 yards in practice. But, if we need one from the 45, I'm sure I'll go out here and give it my best.
I bet you will. Off to a great start individually, but more importantly as a team as well for McKinley. Keaton, congratulations. Best of luck this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
An effort last night by Keaton Rohde, and he's the leader of that team, no question about it. McClellan maybe going to Tennessee or USC. Nino Hill, a very good running back, but this is the leader of that football team, and they're going to go as far as he takes them. And last night, that's a big road win in the Federal League for them, and a tough game this week as they'll welcome Green to Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium.
Yep, you mentioned his performance, Kenny. His coach gave him the pat on the back, of course, in our interview that we talked with him earlier. So Keaton Rohde was tremendous. Again, he's our WHBC Sports Player of the Week. If you look through that resume there from this week, and then running through his highlights, one thing to change. What did Coach say? No, he wants him to slide, right?
Yeah. Wants to avoid the tackles because they need him to play all 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games at quarterback. But he's a tough kid. And I guarantee you, though, there was a kick return where he had to help make the tackle, and he took a little bit of a shot. So that's the one thing where I think they're going to tell him, hey, and he was the safety valve on that. And the kid, broke a big run, but they're going to maybe get on the other 10 guys on special teams saying, hey, we don't want him making the tackle. Make the tackle sooner so Keaton doesn't have to.
All right, real quick, we'll preview next week's game. I want to again mention we will be live on YouTube, Northwest at Fairless. So that'll be a huge matchup for us. The WHBC Sports live stream game of the week next week. They have a good one again. They've been following Lake around, so it's time to mix things up. They will be Green, who again is trying to avenge a loss there, Kenny, and playing well this year. Still, we give credit to the 3-1 teams that have won 3 in a row, but we got to give Green credit for a 3-1 record, of course. And they'll play a 3-1 McKinley team at McKinley on our WHBCSports.com stream game of the week. And we talked about your game earlier. That really is a can't miss. Check in, see what we got.
Yeah, we've got a great one for you. The Altman Hospital Radio Game of the Week, simulblasting on WHBC and Mix 94.1. It is St. Ed's, defending Division I state champion St. Ed's, traveling to Paul Brown Tiger Stadium in Massillon to take on the TIGERS undefeated Tigers. We can't wait for that one next week, and hopefully, it'll live up to the hype that everybody is putting on it, Billy.
Yeah, and I mean, real quick before we wrap, let me know if I'm missing something, but talk about last year's matchup for a sec there, Kenny, and I'm gonna try and find our highlights from that, but that was a hell of a game.
Yeah, it was, and it came down late in the game where Eds coughed up the football. They had a chance to run out the clock. They coughed it up, and then Jalen Slaughter made them pay as he went up top through a game-winning touchdown pass. And St. Ed's, like we said, Division I, right? Massillon, Division II, although a lot of people think they could play in Division I and challenge just like they did when they beat St. Ed's last year. But, they're two heavyweights when you talk about high school football in Northeast Ohio. And that's why I give both teams credit for playing this game almost every year now, because it's a good test for both of them. I don't know how much better Massillon gets with some of the teams they have to play or some of the games that maybe only certain teams will play them and they win 55-0 or whatever it is, right? That's a tribute to them for being so good, but do you get any better in those situations? So this will be a good test for both schools. And you brought up a point earlier in the huddle here that I'll be curious to see if it is a close game. When it's on the line, do they continue to rotate both DeJuan Owens and Jalen Slaughter, or do they go to one quarterback in that situation that they feel gives them the best chance, to win? And does that eventually help that quarterback emerge as the number one guy or the go-to guy? They're having success right now. They're 4-0, dominating teams with both kids playing, but you know it, I know it. Fourth quarter, tie game, who's going to get the ball? Which quarterback's going to be in there?
Yeah, definitely the big question. And again, that is our Altman Hospital Radio Game of the Week. I know you'll have the pregame show going at about 5:30, I think is the start.
5 o'clock we start. Rick Worstell and I will get it rolling from Paul Brown Tiger Stadium at 5 o'clock. I'll be there doing the Kenny and JT show from 3 to 5, and then 5 o'clock the Alt Care Stadium show with Stelly, and then 7 o'clock kickoff between the Eagles and the Tigers.
Love it. Well, we appreciate all our guests again. Thank you to Coach Sarbaugh, Antonio Hall, Coach Baum, Jay Rohr, and Coach Lindesmith for jumping on with us. And then, of course, all the players that joined us too. Thank you for watching. If you're just tuned in, you want to rewatch, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. Just head back to the beginning, though. So for Kenny, Roda, I'm Billy Beebe. Thank you for joining us this week in the Huddle.